Season 3 of The Pitt isn't just confirmed. It's already shaping up to be the darkest and most personal season yet. And here's what nobody is talking about. According to the showrunner himself, Robby hasn't even hit rock bottom yet. Everything you saw in Season 2, that was just the beginning. Filming for Season 3 kicks off in June, and the show is on track to return the same week in January, meaning a January 2027 premiere with 15 episodes is basically locked in. But the release date isn't even the most important thing here. What matters is what Season 3 is actually about, because the creators have been very specific, and it's a lot heavier than most people realize. After spending Season 1 in crisis and Season 2 in full avoidance mode, Season 3 is going to force Robby to finally do the work. Showrunner R. Scott Gemmell put it plainly, Robby will be actively confronting his trauma and attempting to heal, and that process is not going to be quick or clean. Noah Wyle himself summed up the entire 3-season arc in one sentence. Season 1, the doctor is the patient. Season 2, doctors don't make good patients. Season 3, doctors benefit from being patients. That tells you everything about where this is going. And here's the part that should make you nervous. Robby did go on his motorcycle sabbatical after that final moment with baby Jane Doe, that's confirmed. But he won't be coming back to the hospital right away. He's been away longer than anyone expected. Gemmell confirmed he'll likely be getting help on the side during that period, but the timeline of his return is uncertain. So when Season 3 opens in November, 4 months after that July 4th shift, we genuinely don't know what version of Robby walks back through those doors, or if he's ready to be there at all. Wyle described what Robby's journey forward will look like as carrying a thoughtfulness, a caution, a trepidation, but also a sense of possibility and hope. That's a very specific combination of emotions, and it sounds like a man who is trying, but barely holding it together. Wyle also revealed that he sees this as a 5 to 6 year mental health journey for the character, taking him from a place of real brokenness all the way to a place of genuine health. Which means Season 3 isn't the resolution. It's just the first honest step. And according to Gemmell, Robby hasn't even hit rock bottom yet. So the real question going into Season 3 is this. If what we saw in Season 2, a man who quietly told his friend he might not want to be anywhere anymore, wasn't rock bottom, then what exactly is waiting for him in November? Now let's talk about the cast, because this is where things get complicated. Losing Dr. Mohan is confirmed and it's official. Supriya Ganesh, who has played senior day shift resident Dr. Samira Mohan since Season 1, is exiting the series ahead of Season 3, in what's been described as a story-driven decision. And honestly, as much as it hurts, it does make sense when you look at where her character was headed. By the end of Season 2, Mohan was spiraling, anxious about picking a specialty, struggling to find a fellowship, having a panic attack in the middle of a shift, and mistaking it for a cardiac event. Most of her storyline, going all the way back to Season 1, quietly built the case that she might not be cut out for the chaos of an emergency department. The show was basically telegraphing this exit for 2 seasons. That doesn't make it any less painful, but at least it wasn't random. What makes it sting even more is that the show isn't replacing her with someone from the day shift. Instead, Aisha Harris, who has recurred throughout Seasons 1 and 2 as senior night shift resident Dr. Parker Ellis, has now been promoted to series regular for Season 3, making her the first night shift doctor to join the main cast. And that detail is bigger than most people are giving it credit for. The promotion coincides with the show expanding its night shift ensemble, and it's already fueling serious speculation about a potential night shift spin-off. The night shift has always felt like a different world, quieter, weirder, with its own rhythm, and now the show is clearly leaning into that. Whether Ellis moves to the day shift or keeps pulling double duty, her presence is going to change the dynamic in ways we haven't seen before. But here's the storyline that could genuinely define Season 3 more than anything else. Dr. Al-Hashimi is returning. Gemmell confirmed it, and she has to figure out what she can do to allow her to continue practicing medicine after revealing she's been having focal seizures since childhood and had 2 breakthrough seizures in a single shift. Think about that for a second. She walked into season 2 as the most composed, no-nonsense attending in the room, and she ended it crying alone in a parking lot, carrying a secret she'd been hiding her entire career. And now she has to come back, face Robby, the same man who threatened to report her, and somehow rebuild her credibility while managing a medical condition that could cost her the career she sacrificed everything for. Gemmell also confirmed that med student Victoria Javadi's decision to pursue emergency psychiatry will hold in season 3, which is a fascinating turn for a character who spent 2 seasons being visibly overwhelmed by the emotional weight of the ER. And then there's nursing grad Emma Nolan, who Gemmell confirmed will return and play a prominent role. The pieces are shifting, the faces are changing, and the ER is going to look noticeably different. But the question nobody can answer yet is this. With Robby gone longer than expected, Al-Hashimi fighting for her medical license, and the night shift bleeding into the day shift, who exactly is running Pittsburgh Trauma Medical Center when Season 3 Episode 1 begins? Beyond Robby and the cast shakeup, there are several storylines still dangling from Season 2 that the show absolutely has to address. And some of them are more complicated than people realize. Start with Langdon. On the surface, he came back from rehab looking like a new man, but the showrunner himself confirmed that the reformed version of Langdon we saw in Season 2 is partly a performance. Gemmell pointed out that there are still clear signs of fear, resentment, and unprocessed anger underneath, and that the perfectly reformed act is essentially a shield with a lot of pain still sitting behind it. He ended Season 2 by getting into an intense argument with Robby about his mental health, essentially telling him the truth nobody else would say out loud. That moment mattered. But now that Robby is gone, and they're not in each other's faces every day, what happens to that relationship when Robby comes back changed? Or maybe not changed enough? Then there's Santos and Langdon, which is a powder keg nobody is talking about enough. One of the biggest unresolved questions heading into Season 3 is whether Langdon and Santos can actually work together, given that she was the one who first caught his addiction and watched him steal medication. They avoided each other through most of Season 2, but 4 months is not nearly enough time to fully bury that kind of history. And Santos spent Season 2 being treated like a pariah by some of her peers for doing the right thing, leaving her feeling isolated and like the villain of her own story. That kind of psychological weight doesn't just disappear. Santos has always been sharp, guarded, and carrying more than she lets on, and Season 3 is going to put all of that to the test. Now, the setting itself deserves more attention because it's going to change the entire feel of the show. Noah Wyle himself posed the question directly. If that was summer, then what happens in the winter when you have cold, snow, and black ice? Pittsburgh in November is a completely different beast. The ER could realistically be dealing with snow-related trauma, a spike in cold and flu cases, and a whole new category of weather-driven emergencies. Season 1 gave us a mass shooting. Season 2 gave us 4th of July chaos, and a cyber attack that forced the hospital to go completely analog. Season 3 is setting up a cold, dark, high-pressure November shift. And knowing how this show operates, the weather is never just the weather. It's a mirror for everything the characters are going through internally. Gemmell also noted that the shorter time jump means less exposition to pack in, so the season can move faster and stay closer to its characters from Episode 1. And then there's the ice storyline involving Nurse Jessie, which the show cannot just drop. It was too real, too charged, and too unresolved to be swept under the rug. 4 months have passed in the story, and nobody knows where Jessie ended up, or what that experience has done to the team that watched it happen. The writer's room opened in March, and Gemmell confirmed they figured out most of the season in broad strokes, which means these threads are being pulled intentionally. Everything is building towards something, and with a January 2027 premiere now firmly on track, the wait is real, but it's not endless. The question isn't whether Season 3 will be worth it. It absolutely will be. The real question is whether this show is actually building toward the moment Robby finally breaks for good, or the moment he finally, truly starts to heal. And after everything we've seen, are you even sure those are 2 different things?